Yes guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and this one is extremely important, okay? This is my personal opinion on the best way to guarantee funding in 2026. This method will literally guarantee you to become a funded trader, okay? If you follow every single step that I have on this diagram behind me, you will become funded in 2026. That is a guarantee, okay? So without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Okay, so this is the diagram that I've created. We're going to start over on the left, okay? So basically with this method, you need to allocate a certain amount of money every single month towards buying funded accounts, okay? So I've gone for one of the cheapest ways because a lot of you guys won't be able to afford much more. But if you can allocate even double or triple this amount of money every single month, then of course you don't have to be buying 10Ks every month. You can be buying 20Ks. If you can allocate £400 a month rather than £120 a month, you can start off with 25Ks rather than 10Ks. And then obviously when you pass those fundeds, you will be receiving more money from the payouts. But I would recommend starting lower, even if you do have the money there. Just builds confidence, builds structure, and it will get you used to exactly this method, okay? So we're starting out 4 10K accounts. Every single week you buy one 10K account. Each account is £30, okay? So that will average around £120 a month. And if you've got a 9-to-5 job, that is nothing. That is literally nothing. Just don't go out twice a month and spend on funded accounts, invest in your future, and that's all you need, okay? That is all you need to start with. And this is simply 10K accounts to consistent payouts. And then one 10K a week, okay? One 10K a week, and you either pass it or you fail it, and then you move on to the next 10K, which you'll buy the week after, etc. Okay, so every weekend you purchase an account. Even if you haven't traded on the previous account, just purchase the account, have it there ready, do the trading days, and just have it there ready, okay? And then you want to be risking 0.5% under the daily drawdown, okay? So what I'd recommend is buying 10% accounts, two-step 10% accounts. So it's 10% phase one and then 5% phase two. And what you want to be risking is 4.5% of that account. And then you've got a 0.5% buffer for slips, spreads, etc. to stop you from hitting that daily drawdown limit. And then you want to be targeting roughly 2.2R. I mean, my strategy is a 2R strategy. So as soon as you get to 2R, bring stops to break even, because that's technically the strategy played out. And then just hold it slightly bit longer. And that will get you a phase one pass, literally in one trade. So that is exactly how you pass a phase one in one trade. So you can see here, 2 losses on phase one and the account will be blown. However, 1 win on phase one and the account is passed and you move on to phase two. And then on phase two, you'll be risking 2.5%, okay, which is half of the target. So on phase two, you'll be targeting 5%. So if you're risking 2.5%, you'll be targeting double that. So again, with my strategy, you'll be targeting a 2 risk to reward, which is perfect. And then 4 losses and the account's blown. So you have quite a big buffer once you're on that phase two stage. You shouldn't really be blowing many phase twos, to be honest, with this strategy, because it's extremely unlikely to be going on a 4 losing streak with my strategy anyway. And then if you win on that phase two, the first trade obviously, then you're live funded. Obviously, if you go into a bit of drawdown, then you're gonna have to work your way up a little bit, but continue to risk 2.5%, and you should still be able to get to that profit target without any problems really. And then that will give you live funding, literally in 2 trades. So 1 win, targeting 2.2 risk to reward on phase one, and then the next trade you win, targeting 5%, targeting 2 risk to reward, risking 2.5%. And you're live funded. It really is that simple. 2 trades. How many times have you boys gone on a 2 winning streak? It happens all the time, okay? And then you're guaranteed live funding. And a lot of you guys are probably thinking, oh, it's only a 10K account though. Like realistically, what are you going to get from that? Well, I'm going to show you exactly how you can then scale from those 10K accounts. And realistically, every single month, you should be at least passing 1 account. Unless you've had a really terrible month and it's a negative month on your strategy, whatever strategy you trade, whether that's my strategy or someone else's, then you should in theory be passing at least 1 10K account, okay? I've got over 6 figures in funding in the last month, okay? And that is from this strategy. Obviously, I'm doing higher accounts because I've got that leverage. I've got money from payouts behind me to be able to afford the bigger accounts. So once you guys have scaled this and you can do this with 50k accounts, my God, does the ball start rolling and you start making serious money. Okay. So moving on, we've passed an account. Let's say even if you blow 3 accounts and then pass one, okay, you are what, 369, £120 down. Okay, you pass one account, risking 1%. Okay, so you're now risking appropriately. So on the evals, you are risking very high and being quite aggressive with it, but that is essentially guaranteeing you funding. And then as soon as you're on the live phase, you are being very cautious. Okay, 1% risk, no more, no less. And then target 2 risk to reward, like my strategy is, or target whatever risk to reward you guys have. But remember, guys, the higher the risk to reward, obviously the lower the win rate, and it will be less beneficial, this strategy. Okay, this is more of a strategy for my trading style because I have over a 50% win rate. If you guys have under a 50 to 60% win rate, then it's a little bit, you could be blowing a lot more accounts than you could be gaining. Okay, so that is quite an important key step in this process. But once you've got that account, okay, we are targeting 2 risk to reward like my strategy is, which will be a 2% payout. And then as soon as you're at least a 2% buffer, obviously on Alpha Capital, you will need to reach 5 trading days, and those trading days need to be similar lot sizes. So you just want to be aiming for at least 2%. You might be getting more, depending on the 5 days. If you have 5 trading days and they go really well, you could be getting a bigger payout, but we're going to go worst case scenario. And once you've got that first payout, there is no minimum trading days, okay? So you can just be targeting 2% and literally just taking 1 winning trade on a fresh live account and then banking that in. So 80-20 profit split. Once you reach 2%, which is the minimum you need to be reaching, $160, which, as we were talking about previously, if you guys have failed 3 accounts and passed 1, you're 120 quid down. You've now already made that back with 1 account pass and only a 2% payout. Okay, so you are break even on ROI, but you've got a live funded account. Now, with that $160, what do we want to be doing? Reinvesting. So the action that we will be taking is to buy a 25k account, and that is the start of scaling. Okay, so now that we're on 25k accounts, those 25k accounts that we purchase will be purely funded from the payouts of the 10k accounts that you have. Okay, once you've built up around 4, maybe even 5 10k accounts and you're account rotating them, that will probably be enough to step away from the 10ks. You don't need to be deploying any of your money into them. The 10k accounts will now start feeding the 25k accounts, and then from that point onwards, you're not even spending your own money. Okay, you're just simply account rotating the 10k accounts, and the payouts from that are then feeding the 25k accounts. And then by that point, hopefully you would have passed a 25k account with the exact same strategy. So again, we're risking 0.5% under daily drawdown, which will again be 4.5%, targeting a 2.2R on phase 1. And then phase 2, you'll be targeting 2.5%, risking 2.5%, sorry, targeting 2 risk to reward, which is my strategy. And that will give you a live 25k in 2 trades, like I was saying. And then once we are live on that account, again, we want to be targeting at least 2% profit. And that will give us $400. And what is that enough for? That's enough for a 50k account and a little bit more. There's a 50k account and a little bit extra left over. If you wanted to spend it, enjoy yourself, do what you want. But I would recommend reinvesting until you guys have at least 6 figures in 4 or 5 multiple accounts. Okay, then you can start descaling a little bit and spending the money wisely still, I would recommend, but you guys can do whatever you want with that. Okay, so moving up here as well, let's say you pass another 10k account. So now you've got 2 10k accounts live. Okay, again, we're risking 1% and we're targeting 2 risk to reward, my strategy, and looking for at least a 2% profit target again. Okay, so that will give us another $160, 80-20 split. And then we simply account rotate. Okay, if you guys want a video on account rotation, then simply leave that in the comments and I'll make a video on that. But account rotating is by far the most effective way of maintaining funded capital and getting consistent payouts every single week or month, depending on obviously your performance in the market. Okay, And then these 10K accounts that you have, let's say you have 2 to 4 of them, simply account rotate them, and that will simply fund the 25K accounts, like I was saying. Okay. And then once you've got the 25K accounts, let's say you pass them, like I was saying earlier, and then you get a $400 payout, that then starts the 50K accounts. And that is how you scale. Okay. And then again, let's say you pass a second 25K account. And again, you're risking 1%, 2RR, 2% profit target at least. Remember, this is the minimum payout that you will be getting. If those first 5 trading days on each live account go really well, you could be looking at £1,000. If you're getting 4% profit, you could be looking at 800 quid after the profit split. So, you know, this is worst case scenario. You guys could be buying 2 50K accounts with 25K account withdrawal. So this is worst case scenario. And then you want to get to the stage where you've got multiple 25Ks as well as the 10Ks are still on rotation. And you've now got enough every single month from payouts to fund the 50Ks. Okay. And then you've got enough to, once you've got enough 50Ks live, you can then fund the 100Ks and then the 200Ks. Okay. And this is the best way to scale. Yes, it will take time. This will not happen overnight. This will take at least 6 to 12 months. But it is guaranteeing you boys funding in 2026. I can't express this enough, okay? I use this method with obviously higher accounts, but I use this method every single day. And it comes down to the fact that you cannot be scared to risk your own money in this game, okay? You will not make it in trading if you have 1 or even 2 accounts that you're babying, you're risking 1% on evals and treating it like it's your own money, okay? It's not. It's simulated capital, and until you're on the live stage, you can't make anything from that. So you need to accelerate the process from getting from the evals to the live stage, and then you trade effectively and you use the correct risk management. You use the correct, like 1% risk, for example, still targeting 2.2R, sorry. And then it's just a process. It will be a snowball effect. As soon as you start passing 1 account, confidence will be through the roof. You've got that 10K there. That is leveraging 25K accounts. Okay, and then you're passing more 10Ks on the side of that live account. That live account's still paying out. And then once you've got multiple 10Ks, you're obviously account rotating them, so the likelihood of those accounts being blown is extremely unlikely. Okay, so yeah, if you guys copy this plan, screenshot it, whatever, stick it on your wall, and just create like a roadmap for yourselves, because I can't express enough how many of the boys in the VIP are implementing this strategy, and you can see from their results how many of them are passing funded accounts and becoming live funded since joining VIP. Okay, the proof is in the pudding, the proof is there. So thank you boys for watching. Hopefully this really does help, and I start seeing a lot more of you guys passing accounts with this strategy. And yeah, let's all win, boys. Let's all win this year. So yeah, if you did like this video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you boys in the next one. Peace.